The survey station on Kepler 442b had been Jack Miller's home for 3 months now, a solitary outpost on the edge of human-explored space. The planet was a garden world, lush with violet vegetation and twin moons that painted the night sky in shades of silver. Jack's job was simple: monitor the atmospheric readings, catalog the local flora, and report any anomalies back to Earth Command. It was lowly work, but he preferred it that way. On the 73rd day of his rotation, everything changed. He was running his evening perimeter check when he heard the crash. The sound echoed through the forest of towering ferns, followed by the unmistakable hiss of a failing engine. Jack grabbed his medkit and ran toward the source, his boots crunching through the phosphorescent moss that carpeted the forest floor. The ship was small, barely larger than a personal shuttle, and it had carved a burning path through the trees before coming to rest in a shallow ravine. Smoke poured from its cracked hull, and warning lights flickered weakly in the gathering dusk. Jack approached cautiously, unsure what he would find inside. The pilot was alive, barely. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Our skin had a faint blue tint, and her eyes, when they fluttered open, were large and golden like a cat's. She couldn't have been more than 19 or 20 in human years, small and slight with dark hair that fell in waves around her face. Blood seeped from a gash on her forehead, and her breathing was shallow. Jack didn't hesitate. He pulled her from the wreckage just as a secondary explosion rocked the ship, sending him sprawling backward with the girl in his arms. He carried her back to the station, laying her on his medical table while he worked to stabilize her injuries. The translator implant in his ear struggled with her language at first, picking up only fragments of panicked words. She woke 3 hours later, eyes wild with fear. Jack held up his hands, speaking slowly. The translator fee Nally clicked into place, and his words came through in her language. "You're safe. I'm not going to hurt you." Her name was LRA, and she was a scout from a world called Velara, 17 light-years from Earth. Her ship had been damaged, fleeing from raiders, and she'd made an emergency landing on the first habitable planet she could find. She was supposed to meet her people at a rendezvous point 3 Syst, Moe, but now her ship was destroyed, and she was stranded. Over the next 5 days, Jack nursed her back to health. He gave her his spare room, shared his rations, and did his best to make her comfortable. LRA was cautious at first, watching him with those strange golden eyes, but gradually she began to relax. She told him about her world, a place of great cities built into living trees and vast scenes that glowed at night. She spoke of her people, the Valari, a matriarchal society where women were the warriors and leaders while men tended the home fires. Jack found himself fascinated by her stories and by her. She had a quick laugh and a curious mind, always asking questions about Earth and humanity. She seemed amazed by the simplest things, like the way he cooked his food or the old fought autographs he kept of his family back home. On the 6th day, they came. Jack was outside repairing a solar panel when he heard the rumble of engines. 3 ships descended from the sky, sleek and silver, landing in the clearing near his station. The hatches opened and women emerged, dozens of them, all armed with weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. They wore armor that seemed to shift, colors in the light, and they moved with the fluid grace of trained fighters. At their head was a woman who could only be LRA's mother. She had the same golden eyes, the same delicate features, but there was steel in her gaze and authority in her bearing. She strode forward and the other women fell into formation behind her. LRA ran out of the station, crying out in her native tongue. The older woman caught her in a fierce embrace, then held her at arm's length, examining her for injuries. The conversation was rapid and intense, and Jack's translator struggled to keep up. Then the woman turned to face him. "You are the human who saved my daughter," she said, her voice carried by the translator. "It wasn't a question," Jack nodded. "I'm Jack Miller. She was hurt. I couldn't just leave The woman studied him for a long moment, and Jack felt the weight of dozens of eyes upon him. Finally, she spoke again. "I am Carrara, matriarch of the Valari clan. My daughter tells me you showed her great kindness when she was helpless and alone. You tended her wounds, shared your shelter and food, and asked for nothing in return. Anyone would have done the same," Jack said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. Kara shook her head. "Not anyone. We have encountered many species in our travels across the stars. Most would have seen opportunity in a wounded scout. Some would have demanded ransom. Others would have taken advantage of her vulnerability." Her expression hardened. "You did none of these things. You acted with honor." She turned to the women behind her and spoke in Valari. They responded with a gesture Jack didn't understand, pressing their fists to their hearts. Then Kara looked back at him. "Among my people, a life that is sacred. My daughter's life belongs to her because you preserved it. That creates an obligation that cannot be ignored." Jack felt a flutter of unease. "I don't need payment. I was just doing the right thing." "This is not about payment," Kara said firmly. "This is about honor. You saved a daughter of Valara when you had no obligation to do so. In our culture, such an act creates a bond between families. We would offer you a place among us if you would have it." The implications of that statement hung in the air. Jack looked at LRA, who smiled encouragingly, then back at Kara and the assembled warriors. These were not people to be taken lightly. The Valari had clearly survived and thrived in a dangerous galaxy through strength and unity. "I appreciate the offer," Jack said carefully, "but I have responsibilities here. My contract with Earth Command." "We know of Earth Command," Kara interrupted. "We have been watching your species for some time. You are young as spacefaring civilizations go, but you show promise. This outpost is small and is elated. You are one man alone on a world far from your home." She gestured to her warriors. "We are offering you something greater. Family purpose, a place where your actions would matter." Jack found himself considering it. The truth was he had signed up for this lonely posting to escape the crowds and noise of Earth. But 3 months of isolation had taught him that running away solved nothing. And the was something compelling about these people, about their code of honor and the fierce loyalty they showed to one another. "What would I do?" he asked. "I'm not a warrior." Kara smiled, the first real warmth she'd shown. "Not all roles require combat. We need medics, engineers, scouts, teachers. Your skills would be valued, and perhaps in time you would teach us something of human resilience." Elora Tell. "You survived alone on this world with minimal supplies and no support. That is the kind of strength we respect." Jack looked around at the station that had been his prison and refuge. He thought of Earth so far away, and his family who barely noticed when he left. Then he looked at Lara, who had become a friend in just 5 days, and at Carrara, who offered him something he hadn't realized he was missing. "If I agree," he said slowly, "could I still maintain contact with Earth? I don't want to just disappear." Kara nodded. "We would arrange it. We are not asking you to abandon your people only to join ours as well." It was insane. He'd known these aliens for less than a week. And yet, standing there under the violet sky of Kepler 442 billions, surrounded by warriors from another world, Jack felt solemn. Things stir in his chest that he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The possibility of belonging to something larger than himself. He extended his hand, a human gesture. Kara looked at it curiously, then grasped it firmly. "I accept," Jack said. Dot. The warriors behind Kara let out a cry that might have been approval or celebration. LRA rushed forward and embraced him, laughing with joy. Kara released his hand and nodded, respect clear in her golden eyes. "Then you're family now," she said. "Welcome to the Valari." As the twin moons rose over the forest, Jack Miller began packing up his station, preparing to leave his old life behind. He didn't know what adventures awaited him among the stars, but for the first time in a long time, he was eager to find out. Sometimes he reflected, doing the right thing led to the most unexpected rewards. Not because you expected reward, but because the universe had a way of recognizing honor when it saw it. And humanity, as the Valari would soon learn, had plenty of that to offer.